Couldn't find the wreckage.
Your
That's what I
Scully
mean.
hat?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean what you think it means.
Well, I mean my X Files
You're
Scully
gonna put
hat.
your size 0 Scully pantsuit on
Yes.
and
Yes.
say that you don't believe in it.
With the huge shoulder pads, and I'm gonna say no way, Jose, did they not find
If
these unidentified objects that they shot down?
right, if aliens weren't real, could we have Mountain Dew Zero? Would that be possible? All the great Mountain Dew taste,
Oh my gosh.
no calories.
And how does it taste?
It
Cal?
tastes. I'm having a love affair with Mountain Dew Zero.
Really?
I did
Very
not,
surprised.
like a lot of kids, teenagers. I used to drink Mountain Dew all the time.
Oh my gosh. I think
Then
it's disgusting.
Realized pre-diabetes, not what you want. And so I haven't drinking it for a long time. And then I started remember Baja Blast? Remember, it's still around.
You love Baja
I really love
Blast.
Baja Blast, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe my love of Baja Blast is just a nascent love of Mountain Dew because I've been having
Okay.
this. I don't know if I'm going to get a tumor from the aspartame, but
God.
I'm loving this Mountain Dew Zero.
Oh,
So
all right.
free plug. I'm not getting paid for this.
Does it really taste like Mountain Dew?
It tastes enough like Mountain Dew that you get the idea.
Okay.
It's all the taste of Mountain Dew without the film on your teeth that you get after
So
drinking
way
3
less
sips of Mountain
sugar.
Dew.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well,
that sounds good.
that's a pretty good warm up. Before we talk about the news, I want to try something.
Okay.
And that thing I want to try is a thing that we've always done. But we're going to try to do it in a certain way.
Okay.
And that is, let's talk quickly about what we're into pop culturally. Mika, you begin.
All right. Well, I see. I've been limited, and so on what I can talk about. So it's really hard and challenging.
Limited. Come on.
I have. There is a gosh, what is it? I
It's going
can't.
great.
I can't think of words right now, so that's really helpful.
It's going great.
Okay. We saw a True and On live podcast this weekend, and
Right.
that was a lot of fun.
We went to a live podcast show.
Yes. Here are some critiques. Starting with the critiques.
Fair enough.
It was standing room only.
Yes.
That is my biggest complaint.
Yes.
Why, for a live podcast,
Note 2.
would you make people stand for the entire show?
And I feel like the hosts tried to, I don't know if it was solidarity or it was the show that we're going to do is standing up. So I don't know which way the river flows. You know?
Yes.
If they were standing up in solidarity for us, or if they were always going to stand up and so therefore we should stand up. I think the real problem is that, like, I haven't seen any video and I don't know any information about like the shows they've done in other cities.
Right.
But yeah, the venue was, you know, a music club.
Yes.
And many music clubs have seating or you know,
Yes.
removable seating.
Yes.
But this, I've never seen anybody sit at this club.
No.
So when I heard that the show was at this club, I should have immediately thought, okay, do I pay for like a table seat? Because there's a balcony where there are tables and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But
right.
yeah. So we got there and we're standing there and it's like, oh, we're standing. Oh, we're going to be standing the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was great for the first part because the first part was like a whole like EDM set by
Young
the producer of
Chomsky.
the show
Yeah.
who is into music and is a DJ. So it's
Yes.
like, all right, this is fun. This makes sense. And then 60 to 75 minutes of podcast where
Yeah.
people are just shuffling back and forth on their pins and needles feet because we've been standing there for so long.
I know. I could barely feel my feet after the show. I mean, the thing is, I'm old. I might not look it, but I am old. And it's harder the older you get to be standing for a really long time. And I do think, I agree with you, that like for a concert, it's not so bad. Anyways.
It's just not conducive to you don't go to like so many comedians have been canceled.
Yeah, I know.
Robin Williams.
Sure.
There, can't cancel that guy. He's dead. He wouldn't do a show where everybody stands up. That's just not how it
No,
works.
it's just like, it's harder for you to laugh if you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of the show, though, is that so they were kind of poking fun at themselves and like they were saying, oh, we need to diversify and we're going to have a podcast network and we're going to create different podcasts. And they came up with ridiculous podcasts, and then they had photos of the three of them for each ridiculous premise.
Yeah.
And I think the photo reveals were my favorite part of the show because I mean it's different than you get, you know, for an audio medium, right? This is a visual component to the live show.
Yeah.
And it was just funny and ridiculous, you know? So I think that was my
Material.
favorite part. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having material.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for a show.
It is a good thing for a show.
For a public show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a very different format than what they
Yeah.
usually do.
I don't know if I would recommend it, but
Oh.
it's not something that you can consume. I mean, it's, you know, they've only got a couple dates and
Right.
you know, so when it's over, it's over. But
Well, that's true. They'll probably tour again at some point.
it hit
so
me weird
anyways.
because, well, they're talking about their show and selling out and
yes,
trying to get more money and more viewers, and so
which seems against everything that
I'm
they
sure everybody in
talk
the
about.
audience had a podcast too, but just, you know, it kind of hit me personally. And when I've put together live shows that I've done for other podcasts that we have on the network,
Mm-hmm.
I always think for people who have seen the show, like people who are fans who are coming because of it, I
Yeah.
want to give them exactly what they expect.
Sure.
And maybe tweaked a little bit for the live format.
Right.
And for people who haven't seen it and don't know what this is, I want to give them an example of what it is.
Right. So they can tune in to
Yeah.
the podcast.
And I think this failed on both of those counts. It wasn't what the usual show was.
Yeah.
And if my boyfriend or girlfriend dragged me to this and I
Right,
wasn't familiar,
exactly.
I don't think I would ever like continue to pursue the show. So and they got my
Well,
$20. I mean, I don't know what to tell them.
that's a fair point, because I mean I went because I like their personalities, and that's one reason why I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's usually they talk about a specific topic and everything,
Yeah.
so very different. Anyways,
Yeah.
what do you got going on, Cal?
Not much.
Oh,
Not much at all.
okay.
No. I have been streaming right here on Twitch every day at 12 p.m. for what I call the Laser Lunch Hour, where I play video games and talk about nerd stuff. And it's going okay, but we're still in that kind of that doldrum area, that digital Sargasso Sea.
Sure.
The becalmed waters of video games have not been shattered by new releases yet. Those new releases are coming, but this is it.
Got it.
Movies, video games, not a lot going on January, February.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
trying to fill the time with one thing or another. I do think I'll be able to fill some time coming up in the next week or so, because there's a new game released called Atomic Heart.
Huh.
It is
Tell
a
me
first,
about that.
It's a first-person shooter
Okay.
where you shoot robots.
Okay.
And I don't know what else to compare it to. Maybe Half-Life. Maybe there's some puzzle elements. Some of the screens have been kind of weird. I don't actually remember who the developer is, so I don't have
Oh.
anything to really give you as far as that goes.
Okay.
But it is on Game Pass. I'm not going to spend any money on it.
Okay.
But I have Game Pass, and so I'll probably be streaming that this week if that's
Okay.
any good.
Okay.
And if not, back to Hades.
Sounds good.
Hades has been out for so long, and I have not made any progress in it at all. I'm no closer to escaping Hades.
That's frustrating. So I'm guessing you probably aren't going to be getting.
This is a game that casuals play.
I know.
What's wrong with me?
Nothing is wrong with you. I'm guessing you're not going to get the spin-off game that's coming out soon.
I know I want to get it,
Oh,
but for that reason, I'm
you're
eating.
trying to beat
I'm eating my
Hades.
meat so I
Yeah.
can have my dessert, my pudding.
Right.
So
Okay.
not that it was never meat. No, Hades is a great game, but
Yeah, of course.
man, I'm having a lot of trouble with it. So anyway,
Well, I hope it gets. I'm not saying easier, because it's a challenging game. I hope you are able to overcome the obstacles.
it never gets easier.
No.
You only learn to accept it.
Yes. Better, harder, stronger, faster.
Much like what? Much like no. Much,
No.
what?
I'm saying that's you. You're gonna get better, stronger, fat. You're gonna improve, and
Uh-huh.
and you're gonna beat the game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I'm trying to say.
Hades Daft Punk crossover.
Yeah.
Now that they're broken up,
Yes.
and I never really knew anything about Daft Punk, but now that they're
No.
broken up, are they going to take like cheesy single jobs? One of them is going to be like, he'll go and do what? Which one of them do you think had the real fire under their ass? They didn't both say
Great question.
d'accord, and they went their separate ways, right?
Yeah.
One of them had to push more
Well,
because he wanted to do something. So that's the one that will do the self-indulgent solo thing.
Hmm.
The other one will continue to tour as just Daft or whatever. I don't know if he was the Daft or the Punk.
right.
That's the future I see.
Well, so I remember seeing this article a little while ago that one of them, I don't want to say came out, because that's not really the right terminology, but revealed his identity.
Right.
And he has a new album, I think, on the way.
Okay, so he's the one.
Probably.
Okay.
And he's just a, kind of a schlubby white guy. I mean, he's
He's
not.
the Brian Wilson, and there's a Brian Wilson and a Mike Love
Yeah.
in every situation. So
I
he's the
shouldn't say
Brian
schlubby.
Wilson.
He's just an average-looking white
This
guy.
other guy's the
so-
Mike Love. All
Yeah.
right.
Right.
So I don't know. My point is that maybe they'll do video games or something like that. One of them.
That would be awesome,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, that's a big element of video games,
Yeah.
especially games like Hades, these sort of boutique kind of games, having a good soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not? If they'll do a Tron movie, they can do a video game.
Right?
They already kind of did one.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm seeing in the chat that according to the wiki page for Hades, it takes everyone a lot of attempts to do it.
So there you
I
go.
don't know. Okay, good. Good to know I'm average.
Oh, come on.
Well, like you were saying before, like I was saying before, it never gets easier. And that is certainly true of the celebrity RIPs that we have to do
I
this
know.
week. As we always have to do, the first of our celebrity RIPs is the loss of Raquel Welch, who has passed away.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody was expecting this. How do you has anybody ever expect anything? My point is that
old
like
was she?
like Jimmy Carter, it was announced recently, is entering hospice care. So
I
we know
saw
that
that.
Jimmy's saying like, okay, thanks, I'm going down for the third time. That's fine.
Right.
But I don't know if anybody. She was 82. I don't know if anybody expected Raquel Welch to pass away. She is probably doesn't mean much to younger or modern audiences.
Oh, really?
But
You don't think so?
I don't. Well, okay. Name a movie she's been in, and get off your phone.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, there
I
you
was
go.
looking at my phone right now because
There
I
you
know
go.
I know her name and I know she's been in a ton of stuff. So, and I'm positive I have seen her and stuff. I don't know.
She was a sex symbol
Mm-hmm.
in the 60s and 70s.
Yep.
And arguably, forever. But I mean, and it was important because she, was American.
Uh-huh.
And so it rivaled the sex symboldom of your Brigitte Bardot's, and other European
Sure.
sex kittens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was special for her. Her probably like the first time people remember her was 1 million years BC.
Okay.
You've seen it before.
Okay.
Fur bikini, right?
I don't really.
She's looking at a dinosaur or something.
Okay.
She's got
sounds
the-
vaguely familiar.
She's a cave woman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it sounds vaguely familiar.
All right. Here's my. How about Farrah? Right? You know that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, forget it.
I don't know.
What is the gerontological? This is news for old people. All right. So anyway, you don't care about this. That's fine.
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
She was also in the two Salkind Three Musketeers films,
Okay.
which were a minor hit
Mm-hmm.
in the 70s, and she won a Golden Globe for her performance in the second one.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And I don't know, she went on to do other stuff. She's on The Muppet Show.
Gotta love the Muppets. Yeah. Well, I mean,
one person can't make this work. Like, you either have questions about her or we just go ahead and talk about the
okay.
next
Why
guy.
don't you?
I've tried to. It's important, whether you know it or not. It's important. This is a chance for you and people who don't know to go, oh, interesting. Well, maybe I'll go check her stuff out. I would recommend that people do that.
Well, what is your biggest memory of Raquel Welch on something?
My biggest memory of her is probably the movie Myra Breckinridge. No, I don't know. It's probably the Three Musketeers films, which
Okay.
I sought out and watched after I read the books as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, like, she's just a presence, and for somebody who started off like that, I swear to God, if you'd ever seen it, that's exactly what it is. Started off like that. She showed incredible capability, range,
Sure.
and depth for somebody who, was just there to look good.
Right. Right. No, I get what you're saying for sure.
Like, can Brigitte Bardot be funny?
Somehow I doubt it. I mean, okay.
But
Some
Raquel
people,
Welch was really funny.
right? Some people can like make a jump from being like a model or a sex symbol or something like that to being an accomplished actor, but not everybody can.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think that shows that she definitely had range and that she was very talented.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Here's somebody else who had range and talent. That person would be Richard Belzer, who has passed
Yeah,
away
I know.
at the age of 78. Best known, I'm just guessing, as Detective Munch
Yes.
on all of those NBC cop shows.
Yeah.
And a guy who not quite to the level of Tommy Westfall, but close
Mm-hmm.
in how he pulled all of those shows
Yes.
together into the
Yes.
same universe. Because he started off on Homicide, right? Homicide
Yeah,
Life on the
Homicide.
Streets.
Yep.
But then he showed up on all the Law and Order shows.
Hmm.
He was on Arrested Development.
Yes.
He was whatever a show that connected or not, I guess, to those NBC franchises.
Right.
Needed a cop character for a joke or something like that. They would have him be there. And so
Right.
I don't know
he
if Dick Wolf
played
gets
Munch.
paid every time that he shows up somewhere, but
Great question. Like I heard that, so I read that Homicide finished and his wife was like, "Oh, we should do a toast, you played this character for like 7 years," and he, I guess, wasn't quite ready to stop playing Munch or just wanted to continue playing the character. And he'd already done the crossover in the Law and Order shows. And so he told his agent to call Dick Wolf and see if maybe he could get on one of the Law and Order shows. And like he knew, I can't remember who it was, but there's somebody who had been on one of the Law and Order shows for a while and was leaving. And so he's like, "Oh, maybe I could be so-and-so's, partner or whatever." And Dick Wolf is like, "Oh, well, I've already cast that, but I'm putting together this new show called Law and Order SVU."
right.
So, yeah, it's weird. And then I read somewhere that he played the character longer than like a couple other, like Kelsey Grammer played Frasier,
Yeah, now of course Kelsey's coming back.
I know.
We'll see how far that goes.
Right.
I was just thinking about this myself, and like Gunsmoke was on for like 20
Yeah.
years, right?
Well, and he's
So-
played,
So James Arness probably.
he's longer than, and then that he's played Munch. So, yeah.
Well, everybody's blown away by The Simpsons. Like, if you want to count voice acting, then Dan Castellaneta and all those other people. But yeah, I was trying to think of like who has played somebody for the longest amount of years, consecutive or non-consecutive.
Mm-hmm.
Victor from Days of Our Lives.
Oh, well, I mean,
No,
if
he's
you
on
want to do,
CBS. That's Days of Our Lives.
if
No,
you
that's
wanna-
NBC.
if you want to do soap operas,
Yeah.
then
Oh, you don't want to do soap opera?
no. I did not say that. What about Susan Lucci? I mean, she's got to be up there, right?
Oh well, yeah,
Um,
certainly. What's up with her?
I don't.
Anyway,
know.
he got to start as a comic, right?
Yeah, right.
And was a comic for in the 60s and 70s, and then transitioned into acting, and then if you can just play this role for the rest of your life, go for it. Is what I say.
Yeah, and he played it well. So, very interesting guy. So, and I guess based on a real cop from Baltimore
Sure.
is what I heard. So, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. So he'll be missed. I also wanted to mention that Gerald Fried, composer behind Roots, Star Trek,
Oh,
and
gosh.
other great enterprises, so to speak, has passed away at the age of 95.
Wow.
And it's too bad. We were talking about music before, Daft Punk for some reason.
Yes, I brought that up.
But you don't think about how music, and I suppose if music is doing its job, you aren't focusing solely on the music, right?
Right.
But the way that music facilitates what's happening in a film, listen to a film with no music. It's not quite the same thing. It's
No.
not quite as fun.
Mm-mm.
And so, one thing that Gerald Fried did was it worked with Stanley Kubrick
Oh, wow.
early in his career on some of the early stuff.
Mhm.
I don't want to say the good stuff because all of his stuff is good. But,
Right.
Movies like The Killing and my favorite movie, Passive Glory, are one of my favorite films.
Wow.
And then just worked, with many, many, many people throughout Hollywood during his career. Composed music for Star Trek.
Yeah.
And you think of like the Alexander Courage theme, or you think of like other things. He was the guy doing the parts I'm talking about, like the interstitial, the background music. Da, 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 da,
Yes.
da, da.
Yes, that's great.
That was him. Which first appeared in Amok Time, of course. So just a guy who really made his mark, and also was a conductor and worked with different
Wow.
orchestras, and so yeah, had an amazing career.
Well, and like as you're saying, like if music is doing its job, and that's true of like any element, right? Like lighting or cinematography, if it's doing its job, then you're not necessarily noticing it because it's just
Yeah.
assisting so well
Mhm.
and doing its part. But I think that music too, and I think you were touching on this too, is like it really can help bring out the emotions of the scene, like you're saying with like the what I think of as like the fighting music of Star Trek, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It gets you more intense and like, yeah, let's do this. So yeah, that's really sad. I mean, he was really talented.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He will. I'm sure you're going to hear about him at the Oscars this year,
Yeah.
and all these people that we talked about. But-
yes.
so anyway, let's move on to something different.
Okay.
Notice I didn't say better
Yeah.
because
Ooh.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
But it turns out that they're gonna reboot Hellboy again. Yeah.
I saw that.
Woohoo!
And my first reaction was, why?
Because nothing can ever be original ever again.
Well, they just did a reboot not that long ago.
Safe
and
Bet
like
Town. That's
Dave-
the new Hollywood is now Safe Bet Town.
David Harbour played Hellboy. Now I didn't see
did.
it, but
You
like
did. I didn't either.
what why?
Because everything has to be exploited, and everything has to be why not do what about a Goon movie? Right? You want to do some
Goon?
Dark Horse comics?
What is Goon?
The Goon.
The Goon?
Yeah.
Tell me more about the Goon.
The Goon. It's imagine like Popeye was like really ripped and fought monsters. That's the Goon.
okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Do something else. Do something different.
Right. So I don't know. Here are the details. It'll be directed by Brian Taylor, who directed episodes of Sci-Fi's Happy.
Okay.
The Christopher Maloney
Speaking
vehicle.
of Law and Order SVU.
Speaking of Law and Order.
I saw like the first episode of that.
Yeah, me
about
too.
all I
It was like,
saw.
okay, good. I'm good. And he also directed the recent Nicolas Cage movie, Mom and Dad.
haven't
And I think
seen
he worked
that
on the
one.
Crank movies as well.
Okay.
So he'll be adapting a specific comic, The Crooked Man,
Okay.
which is a recent Hellboy miniseries, I believe.
Oh, so
No
it's
word
pretty
on who's
recent.
going to be playing anything, so
Probably
we don't really
hasn't
know.
been cast yet, is what I'm guessing.
But we do know that Mike Mignola is working on the script.
Huh.
He's the creator, of course, of Hellboy.
That's interesting.
He also helped write, I think, the second Hellboy, and probably consulted on the first
Okay.
of the Del Toro ones.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Well, I always think it's better if like the creator is involved, like generally speaking.
Yeah.
So
So, well,
Huh.
we'll see.
we will see.
Not everything should be a movie.
Correct.
The end.
Not everything should be a TV show either. I mean,
TV's TV.
yeah, but look at like.
Theater is art.
Hmm.
Theater is life. I always get this wrong. Theater is life. Cinema is art. Television is furniture.
Cinema isn't always art.
No,
though.
not anymore. Not when you're remaking Hellboy for the millionth
Sometimes
time.
it's a commodity and it's just purely capital.
Hellboy, and I think Mike Mignola has always really wanted to be like do movies, but
Sure.
he's just sort of ended up doing comics and being known for that.
Mhm.
And his Hellboy is based on a couple things:
Okay.
monster movies,
Obviously.
Lovecraft,
That makes sense too.
and noir fiction.
Okay,
and
all those make
specifically,
sense.
what you don't get in noir anymore. Now we think of noir as like, well, my wife called me sushi, cold fish, or whatever,
Right.
and a dame. But like, a big part of early noir was like literally light and dark, right? The chiaroscuro
Yeah.
aesthetic
Hmm.
of people sneaking around in the shadows and light being cast on stuff. And I think that really is a big part of Mignola's work on Hellboy, because he's a guy who's like, inker? I don't need an inker. I got Mr. Sharpie right here. And he would do these like panels that are just little bits of color and light,
Yeah.
all blacked out.
Sure.
And they don't do that in movies anymore.
Mm-mm.
You don't. You just can't. Like everything is CGI. It's a million different colors.
Of course,
it's its own
yeah.
thing. I'm not saying it's bad, but you could just never. If you could somehow make a Hellboy movie that had that sort of like darkness and that sort of that's the real Skinamarink situation.
No, not Skinamarink.
Maybe not.
But
I just don't think.
Yeah, more shadows than light.
Yeah, and also you're just never gonna get like Hellboy is not. He's the least interesting part of any Hellboy story. Like
Sure.
he always runs into some mythological monster character, and he's just like, I don't know about that. And they're the ones who are like, oh, and then I'll take over the world. And he's like, I don't think so. Like it's also based in like the idea of an action hero and like a Bruce Willis character is just like, all right, pal, whatever,
Right.
And so it should be easy to replicate, and it's not. And they always have to like overcomplicate his character, and they have to give him a ton of like personality, and he doesn't need a ton of personality. You need like a really
No.
creative world that he's interacting with.
Right.
It's weird that he's a big 8-foot tall, 7-foot tall demon guy
Right.
who just wants to eat like a chicken parmesan sandwich and just do his job. And so
Yeah.
nobody understands that. Neil Marshall didn't understand that. Guillermo del Toro, I don't know if he even bothered to care to understand that. And so it's disappointing.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I feel like a lot of times people, when they're making comics into TV or film, like they don't understand the material, the original material.
Yeah. So when somebody pitches it, and nothing's pitched anymore. It's just a guy in a performance fleece looking at a spreadsheet of like things that they own and going, what about that?
Right.
Google, Hellboy. Oh, that looks kind of cool. Oh, we did a couple of those before. All right, well, let's just do that again. Nobody has to sell you, because I'm thinking like when they try to sell you on something, what is the person across the table in the performance fleece? What are they plugging into and going, oh yeah, I can see that. I think those days are gone. I think that they're all just accountants now.
Yeah, I think
who
so too.
Google, all right, assistant, Google the amount of money that Hellboy comics have sold, or
Right.
Dark Horse comics is worth, their revenues for the year or for the decade or something like that.
Can this
Focus group,
film-
do a poll, a
Right.
focus group. Does this make you happy? Does this make you happy?
right?
Right.
Will this?
So you're
film
telling
make
me
us
that
money?
you want crazy ass monsters, and you want a guy eating chicken parmesan in a trench coat.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, right.
We're moving forward. Stamp of approval. So, yeah, I don't.
Yeah. In the chat, we have somebody saying, Phantom Casual says, did you hear about live action How to Train Your Dragon? No.
No, I did
No,
not.
I didn't.
Is How to Train Your Dragon Disney or is it something else?
It is
I can't-
DreamWorks.
It's DreamWorks. Is that attached to Disney? I can never remember all the different.
Universal Pictures is going to make the live action
Okay.
in concert with DreamWorks Animation.
I mean, it's a very popular
Interesting.
animated movie, right? I mean, it could work.
Well, I'll tell you why they're making it.
Why?
Here is a chart thanks to CNBC. Make sure to clean my cache after this. Global box office for Alice in Wonderland 2010. 1.3 billion.
Yeah.
Maleficent 750 million. Jungle Book 1 billion. Beauty and the Beast 1.26 billion. Lion King 1.75 billion. So yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that was going to be my guess. That's why I originally asked if it was Disney or DreamWorks was Disney or not, because it sounds like a live action Disney film. So it does not surprise me.
Yeah.
So whether or not they can actually make it good, I guess is the real question, right?
I don't think that even factors in, does it?
I think that it should, because I've watched a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I've watched a couple of these live action Disney films, and most of them are not very good.
No.
So it just makes me wonder, why even bother to do it?
No, that's what I'm
we're
saying.
just getting money.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not saying like, yeah, obviously to enjoy it, I hope it's good, but
Right.
that's not a consideration for the people making the
No,
film.
not at all. And it's just really aggravating.
Well, let's hope that is not true of the new Dungeons and Dragons film.
Yes.
And the reason that I bring it up is because okay, guys, I guess we can see your movie now because
Yeah.
you decided to do the right thing.
Yes.
Speaking of Do the Right Thing, we'll be talking about Do the Right Thing on Just Enough Trope, our podcast.
Yes.
The movie Do the Right Thing.
the movie.
Yeah, for Black History Month. So
Yeah.
tune in tomorrow for that. The reason I bring it up is because specifically Dungeons and Dragons and the makers behind it have said there will be no fourth wall breaking, no meta humor, no contextual stuff in the film.
Okay.
Now, what they mean by that is that it won't be knowingly sort of winking to the audience like, we know this is crazy. They're all in. They're going to
Okay.
take this seriously,
Okay.
which I believe is the only way to make this work.
I
That being
believe so,
said,
too.
I do think, and I think I mentioned this on a previous show, I wouldn't mind if there was, don't go full Lego movie on us, or Cloak and Dagger, Dabney Coleman, 1986, look it up.
Right.
But I wouldn't mind like a scene or two we sort of pull out, and maybe I don't think it lowers the stakes to think that this is a game being played by.
Yeah,
people,
I understand
right?
what you're saying.
But I
Yeah.
get if they don't want to do that, you don't want a Princess Bride frame story situation. Just sell it as what it is because
Yeah.
money. You want to make a bunch of these, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think there would be any problem. But
No.
specifically, Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Daley cited Jumanji. They said, this is not Jumanji. We won't be doing
Okay.
that. There's fun
Okay.
and there's characters in the world of D&D, and we don't need like a side thing. So it's like, okay, missed opportunity, but
I can
I
respect
can see why you
that,
wouldn't want to do that.
But I do agree with you. I think it would still be kind of fun, and maybe they could do it in like future movies. But
Right.
I think that
If in the middle of the Civil War scene where they're fighting at the airport, we pulled out really fast, and it was like a kid just hitting his Black Panther and his
right,
Captain America figures
Right.
together. Not quite the same feel.
no, that takes away from it. But I think
Cloak and Dagger still works though.
okay, I don't think I've seen that.
Disney used to make such good movies.
But I mean, if you did the frame story and you were concerned about like, well, we want to make a bajillion more of these, it would be you could really easily fix that because, I mean, you don't necessarily need to follow the same characters in the inner world or the frame story every single time, right? I mean, I guess
You could.
you could.
There's a third Jumanji movie on the way.
Well,
I'm guessing.
Right,
It's worked
right.
so far.
No, you're right. So, I don't know. Okay. Well, I guess they felt the need to let us know that up front. So,
Yeah, I don't know if that was gaining traction. People had the
Right.
idea that I did. Where
Right.
they're like, oh, is there going to be a side thing? No, there won't be. People have spoken about that. People have also spoken about the fact that, hey, that Evangeline Lilly, not so bad, right?
what? Please explain.
With the release, this weekend's release of Ant-Man
Another man.
and the Wasp, Quantumania, which has made $100 million at domestic box office. Marvel's back, baby!
All right.
They never went anywhere, and
No.
they're also back.
Yeah, right.
Evangeline Lilly has been a part of the red carpet and the press rounds, obviously.
Of course.
And she has said that Marvel has been very cool with her anti-vax views.
Why? Marvel, you can't let. Okay. You can't play both sides. You just can't.
They're not playing any side.
I
they're
know
play- they're
they're
not
they're,
playing-
they're not playing at all.
They're playing the
but,
money side.
But like, then you just lose on like.
Right. Well,
So you're like worried about
we got
losing
mad.
your anti-vax fans, but by supporting somebody
You're gonna lose them anyway.
multiple right.
when they die.
Right, but right, exactly. But by supporting actors, and I do mean plural, who are anti-vax, you're alienating your fans who are pro-vaccine.
They
So-
are guessing that fans that are pro-vaccine will go see it anyway. And I'll tell you right now, guess what we're doing this weekend? This show.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it,
No, I haven't either.
and I won't be paying for it.
No.
So now you know. She was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast.
What a horrible name.
Josh Horowitz. I don't think I like you. Never heard of it, so that's not
no.
great. But anyway, she was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a picture of him. He's got guests. He's got Bradley Cooper. He's got
Okay.
Kristen Stewart.
He's a white dude with glasses. I don't know, man. He's kind of nondescript.
Like Josh Horowitz lets you know everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah,
He's got.
you're right.
Please tell people you're a Jew.
I'm Jewish.
We've got Denzel Washington. All right. So anyway, on the podcast,
Yeah.
Ms. Lily said, quote, "They're very respectful, Marvel. In fact, I've had direct conversations with them that I have instigated, and they've always said, that's not our business. That's not for us to tell you how to live your life or what opinions to have." And I actually even got a really supportive phone call from Peyton Reed, director of Ant-Man, at one point saying, like, "Just so you know, there's some rumors spreading about Marvel ditching you or canceling you, and that didn't come from Marvel, and that didn't come from us. So just ignore that."
Okay. First of all,
What a victim.
First of all,
They're trying to cancel her. Only
rewind.
canceled people are unhappy, sad, confused. That's why it's happy, sad, confused. They're like,
Yeah.
I was happy, but now I'm sad and confused because I
Right.
got canceled.
Right. I'm going to rewind that back a little bit. First of all, I don't. This is my personal opinion, and I'm just going to state it that way. But I don't think that whether or not you get the vaccine or you don't get the vaccine, I feel like that shouldn't be. You can't force people to do stuff. But the thing is, if you are on a set with not just the actors, but an entire crew
Yeah.
that's over 100 people,
Yeah.
you need to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And that should not
I assume that
should not be an option.
I
I'm
assume
sorry.
that she's limiting her exposure to her coworkers and she's wearing a mask all the time.
No,
I'm sure
she's.
that's-
I'm sure she's not.
Oh, isn't it? Well, we'll have to dig up some pictures from the January 2022 rally in Washington, D.C. that she attended.
I know.
A rally against vaccination mandates.
I don't.
After
like her.
which she stated, quote, "This is not the way. This is not safe. This is not healthy. This is not love. I understand the world is in fear, but I don't believe that answering fear with force will fix our problems. I was pro-choice before COVID, and I'm still pro-choice today." Oh, so she supports a woman's right to choose. That's great.
And she also supports a woman's right to choose whether or not to get vaccinated.
I don't think she supports a woman's right to choose. Right?
I
Because
don't know.
this is a
she
religious
might.
thing.
It is a religious thing.
Yeah.
But it's.
Yeah.
I have more to say, but I'm going to hold my tongue.
Oh, I wish she felt the same way.
It makes me angry because you are being, when you decide.
You literally play a superhero that can see viruses. You shrink down. And you
Right?
say, "Sure, I don't see anything."
Right. And like, when you decide not to get vaccinated, it is a selfish choice.
It's a stupid choice.
It's a stupid choice
We have
because you're
proved-
not thinking about everybody else around you's health.
Right,
Anyways,
right.
I'm off my soapbox.
You were
rant
never
off.
on it.
What do you mean?
You were never on it.
What do you mean?
I'm happy to make this an anti-vaxxer podcast if that's the way that we want to go.
I was
But
totally on it.
instead, I want to talk about Avatar: The Way of Water and how it's
Okay.
passed Titanic to be the third highest grossing film of all time.
Oh my goodness. That's huge.
It is huge, and you've seen it.
I have.
I've seen it.
Yes.
Only seen it once.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did, in the weeks after I saw it, I did think, I could see that again. But
Yeah.
I'm just not, I think you would agree. I'm not in a place in my life right now where I can see a movie more than once. You know, I got
No.
places to go, people to be.
Yeah. Right.
Uh,
It's
and-
beautiful.
yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the reporting on it is not high. Maybe I'm
haven't
looking
heard-
in the
yeah.
wrong places, but the level of engagement that I have with pop culture media is relatively high.
Mm-hmm.
And the only stories I see about it are, it's number 7, it's number 6, it's number 5.
Yeah. I feel the
Is
same
this what
way.
people are talking about when they tried to say last year, the year before, that Avatar has no cultural penetration at all? And it's like, that might be true. But then people are sleepwalking to the theater to buy tickets to it because
Yeah, I
everybody's
mean-
buying tickets to this thing.
Right. So how could it be true then?
It
that
is one
has
of
no
6
effect?
films total to reach over $2 billion at the
Holy
worldwide
cow.
box office.
Wow. I mean, I guess one of the only places I've seen it besides hearing about the box office is what is oh my gosh, VFX artist React.
Yeah.
But other than that, I guess I feel like I haven't really heard that many people
Right. That's my
talking
point.
about it
Yeah.
since it initially came out.
So it's number 3.
Uh-huh.
Number 2 is Avengers Endgame,
Okay.
which made 2.8 billion essentially.
Okay.
And number 1 is Avatar 1, which
Okay.
made 2.9.
Well, it's not done yet, so
It isn't. It was,
Yeah.
I think, number 2 still. Well, now that Ant-Man was number 1, but it's still in the top 5
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
months after its release.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, weeks. No, it's 2 months is months.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, yeah, I mean, going into summer, which starts in a couple weeks, as far as movies are concerned.
Yeah, that's true.
Who knows? I mean, if it stays in theaters, there's no reason to expect it to not reach 3 billion, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
I think you're right.
Although either way, usually, sequels you expect, unless it's part of a franchise like Marvel, you expect diminishing returns on a sequel.
Yeah.
You just don't want to make a lot of money, though.
Mm-hmm.
Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, different story.
True.
Do you think they consider it a failure if it's like 2.8 when the first one is 2.9? They're like, well, told you, slipping. All I'm saying, look.
I mean,
look,
possibly, yeah.
Evangeline Lilly is not being canceled, and James Cameron does not need my support.
Yeah.
That being said, though,
Right.
it just seems like everybody's got it out for him. Like he keeps proving, look, you don't have to like my movies, but I know what people like, and I know how to
Yeah.
make movies that make money, and I
Right.
know how they should be marketed, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But people are always like, yeah, you can't do 3 though. There's no way Avatar 3's got fire, Navi. I don't think so.
I know. I think I don't know. I feel like part of that is that there was such a long amount of time between the first Avatar film and the second one, and he seems to be dedicating, I don't know how much longer he's going to be making movies, but he seems to be dedicating the better part of the rest of his career to making these Avatar films. And so I think when there was such a long time in between, because he's working on the technology and perfecting everything and all that sort of stuff, people kind of were like, I don't know if he can do this. Is he really going to pull it off?
Well, that's his food. He loves
Yeah.
proving that he can.
Yes.
Imagine that first of all, imagine you're in an alternate universe where we respect women directors.
Ha.
Imagine that you are a storied emeritus director. You're
Mhm.
moving into the last phase of your career.
Yes.
Do you want the last phase, the James Cameron last phase, or the Ridley Scott last phase?
Well, probably the James Cameron last phase.
You're just
don't
going to
you
make
think?
Blue Cat movies forever. You can have that, or you can have I'm going to make a bunch of not even like big swings, partially calculated films
Yeah.
that are a shadow of my former success and glory.
Right. That's what I that's
But at
what-
least I'm doing, I'm getting out of the house. I'm doing stuff.
it's hard, right? Because it's like, do you want to continue making films that are not as great and then have people possibly remember you for the wrong reasons?
Look,
or
people are always going to remember Blade Runner before
well, that's true.
Robin Hood
Yeah, absolutely right about that.
or The Last Duel.
I have no desire to see that film. Yeah, I don't know. Or it's a hard choice for me to make. Because you're right, at least he's doing stuff, but James Cameron is his movie that just came out after years of not producing a film completely is the third largest grossing film ever.
Let me tell you the difference between these two scenarios, though.
Okay.
In one of them, you're Ridley Scott, and I'm not saying that he doesn't work hard,
Yeah.
but you can go home at the end of the day and have a brandy and watch TV with your wife.
Yes.
The kind of work that James Cameron puts in, yeah, he works his crew hard, but he's working those hours too.
You're right.
And I bet you when they're turning off the lights, they're like, "Oh, James, you're still here?" He's just doing 18-hour days like all the time, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I guess I'd probably prefer, my life to be like Ridley Scott's than James Cameron's because I mean, do you think he'll burn out, or is this just
James Cameron?
Yeah, or does this just like fuel his electrolytes, like just continuing to work and burn
It
the
seems like
candle
it might
both
be that
ends?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems
Okay.
like it might be that one.
Okay.
Oh, to have a motor like that. Well, before we clear out, we had one more story that we wanted to talk about. It's a story that listeners probably have already heard about, but we wanted to share it in case that you haven't. And that is the fact that Viz Media, for some reason, has made many of their classic anime shows available for free on YouTube.
Yes. I heard about that. That's really exciting. And it
Sailor
includes-
Moon?
Yep.
Death Note, Naruto, and Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, that's all really exciting. And I guess I'm just kind of curious as to why? Question mark?
Oh, and Inuyasha as well.
Okay. Have we found out why? Did any news articles say as to why Viz made this decision? I mean, obviously, since it's on YouTube, it's gonna. I'm assuming.
The last article I read was from yesterday afternoon,
Okay.
and nothing. So maybe Kotaku or somebody in the future will have more of a perspective on that.
Yeah.
But so far we don't know. Now, they have ads,
Yeah.
like every
that's
YouTube
what
video
I was gonna
does.
say. Yep.
So that maybe.
That's what I was
it is?
thinking.
Yeah.
Revenue, right?
Speaking of spreadsheets, yeah, at some point the robot went, nope, stop. Like the sales of DVDs hit a point where the potential for YouTube revenue streams, one went over the other, and they went, release the Dogs of War.
Right.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that might be it.
Have you watched them at all?
No, not yet.
No.
No. Have you watched any
We're
at
bad
all?
Sailor Moon podcast hosts. I don't know if it's the new or old dub or translation.
Okay. It's the new dub because Viz did the new dub.
Right.
I can guarantee you it's the new dub.
Right.
So my guess is it would be a newer translation as well.
Okay.
So.
Well, I could use one.
I know.
Maybe I'll start doing that.
Yeah, I know. Then you have the ads, but
Yeah.
so.
So we'll see if this continues. I think that this is absolutely hilarious in the wake of the recent stories about them cracking down
Yeah.
on podcasters, streamers, and content producers like ourselves who are just there to review and appreciate and share these stories. And they felt the need to really take them down, take some people to court, and then they turn around and dump it all for free. So thank you. Thanks for doing that.
Do you think that they were so litigious because they were planning on doing this, or do you think that they're completely unrelated?
I think there is some frantic water treading going on over there.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I can't imagine that a business that not only creates some of, and they're to be fair, they're publishers, they're not creators,
Yes.
right?
Right.
But who publishes some of the most well-loved anime IPs of all time,
Yes.
who, I mean, look at, we're success stories that are evergreen. We still talk about Sailor Moon. People still love Sailor Moon. They're still discovering Sailor Moon.
Right.
And that, I know that's true of Naruto and Death Note and all these other
Yes.
properties. So all you have to do is just sit back and let the checks roll in, right?
Yeah.
But shit's tough all over. And so I don't know. Maybe there is some fulcrum point where it's like, I don't think we're making enough money. Or there's just some projection where they go, we can make even more money.
Right.
And so this is the way to do it.
Well, and then the shows that they release too are some of like their biggest titles. So it's like they know that they're going to be popular too,
Yeah.
So I think that that's part of it as well. I mean, look, I'm excited that Sailor Moon is on YouTube because that means that more people are going to be able to watch it. It's
for
going to be
us.
more accessible.
In fact, we can just, in the future, we'll just have a YouTube link in our show notes
Sure.
for every episode. So
Yeah.
you can just watch it on YouTube and then
Right.
listen to the show.
I think that that's great. We want things to be more accessible to fans.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a positive
It's great
thing.
news, but it's a good thing. It's a bad thing. I'm always looking at like, what's the motivation behind this?
Right. That's kind of what
this
I'm
really
wondering.
nice thing that they did.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a little concerned about that too. And I guess we'll see. There's another part of me. It's like, how long will this last? You know what I mean?
Could be.
So,
Because they used to, remember, they are taking advantage now of the ad-driven platform of
Yes.
YouTube.
mhm.
Because in the past, I know for sure Sailor Moon, maybe some other of these, they used to just offer them on their website.
yes.
You could go to viz.com and
I remember that.
and they still have some anime on viz.com, but they had all of Sailor Moon on viz.com,
Mhm.
and then they took that down.
Yep. And that was a little while ago now. So
yeah,
it's not
whether
like.
that was in anticipation of a move like this, I don't know, but
I don't know because it's not like it happened.
it's definitely
really
them doubling
recently.
down on YouTube as a publishing platform.
Yeah.
A third-party publishing platform.
I think so for sure.
All right, well, we
Stay
did it.
tuned, I guess.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
We did it. Do you want to talk really quick about what we'll be talking about on the show this week on Just Enough Trope?
Yeah, well, I think you mentioned it briefly before, but we're going to be watching the film Do the Right Thing for Black History Month. And it is a very well-known Spike Lee film. And I think it's really highly rated from what I know. And it's very understandable why. I think it's a really powerful film as well. So stay tuned and check that out. Like Cal said, it'll be available tomorrow. So yeah, we should have a really great discussion about it.
Yeah. Spike Lee is a filmmaker we have not talked about a lot on the show.
No. Mm-mm.
I'm trying to think if we've ever talked about him.
I don't recall if we have,
I don't
which
know.
it seems like a real blind spot on our part.
Yeah.
But we're doing it now.
So, better late than never.
Yeah.
We're talking about that for this week's show. And that's it for this week's edition of the Just Enough Trope News Show. We'll be back to bring you more news next Sunday at the same time, 6 p.m. Central. And of course, as we've mentioned throughout the show, this is one of several programs that we have available on the Just Enough Trope Network. The best thing to do is to subscribe here on Twitch. Hit the button, also hit the bell so you get notified when we are live and broadcasting. And we're back every Sunday night and also weekdays at 12 p.m. Central, streaming and talking about nerdy content. Check out our platforms, many platforms, more platforms than a Mario game. We've got our podcasts, we've got our social media, and you can find all of these things by going to Linktree, linktr.ee/Just Enough Trope, all one word. You can find all of our stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is it. So I want to say good night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. This is Aaron from Mika saying, keep the geek fires burning.